back on track. You know, you bring up a great point. We hear from the other side that the greatest tools that the government has is to largely unregulate big business, big corporations, and provide tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans. Virtually every problem that America is facing, that's the solution that's put on the table. Now, I argue that, look, our philosophy, our broad political philosophy here in this body, at least I know from our side of the aisle, is that the government needs to set the out-of-bounds markers. We need to set the goalposts. Let the free market operate in between, but be a good referee. Be a good referee. Throw the flag when you have big corporations that want to bet on the price of oil going up on Wall Street. Throw the flag when you want to bet against people failing to pay their mortgage. Failing to pay their mortgage. That's what was happening on Wall Street. That's like betting against America. I think we can do better. We don't want to take the stripes off the referee. We want to make sure that the playing field is even and fair for all Americans. And that's why we're being charged with action. Because I think all of us here tonight believe that leadership is not just about position, a political position, but it's about action. Leadership is about action. And we run for office not just to win elections, but to get things done. And we want to put America back to work by investing in America. And by investing in our greatest asset, that is our people. And so a lot of talk has been made about the stimulus and the economic recovery. I mean, the charts don't lie, folks. When we walked in the job here in the office of the House of Representatives, I'm in my first term, and just in May of 2009, what was handed to us from the previous administration were two unfunded, undeclared wars that cost $1 trillion. We had an economy that was in free fall. We didn't know where we were going to land. Exploding deficits from the war and tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans. We had unregulated greed on Wall Street, a banking system in chaos. I mean, it required swift action, not just a political position, but swift action. In May of 2009, we had lost 345,000 jobs. 1 year later, after some of the economic policies that we put in place here in the Congress under Democratic leadership, we've had 180 degrees and actually had a net job gain of 431,000 jobs by May of 2010. So the facts don't lie. And another thing that really disturbs me about our friends on the other side of the aisle is the whole notion that Democrats are not tough on deficits. And that is completely falsehood when you look at this chart right here. This chart right here shows that deficits have been handed on by the last 3 Republican presidents. We look at President Reagan, a $1.4 trillion deficit left to the American taxpayer. We look at President Bush. We see that he left a $3.5 trillion deficit. And that didn't begin to turn until President Clinton turned those deficits into a $5.6 trillion surplus. And what was left to us when we came in the door in the 111th Congress was nearly a $12 trillion deficit by 2 undeclared, unfunded wars, 2 tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans who could afford to pay and pay their fair share, and a prescription drug plan that left huge holes, donut holes, for our seniors who couldn't afford to pay their prescription drugs. These are the facts. And like Joe Friday used to say, only the facts, please, ma'am. And right now, we're trying to set the facts straight. And my colleagues are appropriate in pointing out these deficiencies in the arguments by our colleagues on the other side.
Mr. Gentleman, would you?
I will.
I think it's important for us to pull